There was once a boy named Rishi. He wasn't the smartest in his class, or the fastest, or the loudest. In fact, most days, he barely spoke at all. He would sit quietly in the back of the room, watching the others raise their hands, win awards, get noticed. He wondered if he was simply born to be average, just another name on a list, forgotten before it was remembered. At home, he tried harder. He studied until his eyes hurt. He memorized things he didn't understand just to keep up. But still, when the results came, he was always somewhere in the middle. His parents didn't say much, just silent looks and soft sighs. "Try harder next time," his father would say, and Rishi would nod, pretending he hadn't already given it everything. One evening, after another average score, he sat alone on the school steps. A teacher passed by and paused. "Why so quiet?" she asked. "Because maybe I don't belong here," he whispered. The teacher sat beside him. "Do you know how diamonds form?" she asked. "Not by shining, by pressure. Quiet, constant pressure." Rishi didn't respond. He just stared at the ground. The teacher continued, "Pressure doesn't mean pain. It means building something slowly, layer by layer, even when no one sees, even when you doubt yourself." The next day, Rishi started waking up earlier, not because someone told him to, but because something inside him whispered that it was time. He began reading not to memorize, but to understand. Instead of comparing himself to others, he started measuring his effort against yesterday's version of himself. It wasn't dramatic. He didn't suddenly top the class, but something shifted, quietly. He started noticing small things, like how he could now solve math problems without freezing, or how he remembered a poem by heart, not because he forced it, but because he liked it. Slowly, doubt began to shrink, not disappear completely, but take a back seat to progress. One morning, his teacher returned a test with a small note. "I see you improving." Just 4 words. But Rishi held that paper like it was a medal. It wasn't about the grade. It was about finally being seen, not for perfection, but for growth. As the months passed, Rishi began to transform in ways no one else could see, but he could feel. His posture changed. He still didn't talk much, but when he did, there was a quiet confidence in his voice. He no longer sat in the far corner of the class. He started sitting in the second row, still not the front, but close enough to engage, close enough to care. During a class debate, a teacher asked for volunteers. As always, the same hands shot up. Rishi hesitated. His heart pounded. Then, for reasons he couldn't explain, he raised his hand too. The room went silent for a moment. The teacher nodded. "Go ahead, Rishi." He walked to the front. His palms were sweaty. His voice at first trembled, but he spoke. Not perfectly, not like the best debaters, but honestly. And when he finished, something happened that had never happened before. People clapped, not just politely, but with genuine recognition. And in that small applause, Rishi heard something louder than doubt. He heard possibility. That night, he wrote in his notebook, "Maybe I can." It was the first time he ever wrote those words. They didn't erase his fears, but they gave him something stronger, a reason to keep showing up. From that day forward, Rishi didn't become the best at everything, but he started becoming better at being himself. He no longer measured his worth by his rank or how many hands were raised around him. He began focusing on learning things that mattered to him, building habits quietly, steadily, brick by brick. Some days were still hard. Doubt didn't disappear overnight. It came back in waves. But now, Rishi had something he never had before, a way to push back. He created a small corner in his room, a study space with notes, reminders, and his notebook, where he wrote thoughts that kept him going. Things like progress over perfection. Confidence is built, not gifted. You don't have to be loud to be strong. One day, a younger student came to him after class. "How do you stay so calm?" the boy asked. Rishi looked surprised. No one had ever asked him that before. He thought for a second, then said, "I don't always feel calm. I just don't let fear do the talking anymore." That night, he added one more line to his notebook. Doubt is a visitor. Belief is a choice. It wasn't a perfect journey, but now he was the one choosing the direction. Time moved forward, and so did Rishi. He didn't chase perfection anymore. Instead, he focused on learning deeply, failing with curiosity, and showing up even when it was hard. What once felt like a heavy fog of self-doubt now felt more like a passing shadow, still there, but no longer controlling him. During final exams, he wasn't the top scorer, but he placed higher than he ever had. His parents smiled, not because of the marks, but because they saw something new in his eyes. A quiet fire, not arrogance, not pride, just peace. When graduation day came, Rishi stood not as the best, but as someone transformed. As he walked across the stage, his teacher, who once told him about diamonds, caught his gaze. She smiled and gave a small nod. That one moment said everything. "I knew you would shine in your own way." After the ceremony, Rishi found a quiet corner and opened his notebook one last time. He wrote, "I still have doubts, but I've learned to walk anyway." He closed the notebook. He didn't need to write more, because now he was ready to live the rest of the story. Doubt doesn't always disappear, but it loses its power when we stop giving it the final say. Rishi's journey was never about becoming the best. It was about learning to believe in progress, to honor effort, and to keep showing up even when it felt like no one was watching. He didn't defeat doubt. He simply refused to let it decide who he was. And maybe that's the real victory. Not in being fearless, but in choosing belief anyway. Not because the path is clear, but because the heart is ready to keep walking. Rishi didn't become someone new. He became someone true. Have you ever doubted yourself so deeply that you wanted to quit? What helped you keep going? Share your story in the comments. Someone who feels the same might need your words today. If this story reached something inside you, send it to someone who needs it too. And subscribe for more stories that remind you you are not alone in your quiet fight.